Hey, what's up you guys? Nick here. And last week I told you about the one race that made me the most amount of money in my entire career. If you didn't see that, I'll link it right here. And naturally, that caused a lot of follow-up questions like, wow, it's great earning, or you had several great paydays, but what was the most you made in an entire year? Great question, and you might be thinking to yourself after watching that video, 2013 was his best year ever. That must be the race, that must be the year that he made the most amount of money. That's not true, because in track and field, you get paid kind of disproportionately in two ways. One, on the front end of your career when you're really young, based on what shoe companies think you may be able to do one day. That's why some athletes coming out of college that maybe haven't won medals or aren't even Olympians make more than their counterparts who already have incredibly long resumes. The other way you get paid disproportionately is you have that incredible resume, and at the end of your career, even though you may not be as fast as some of the youngsters, you're still getting paid really well because you have built up a very large name for yourself. So towards the end of my career, I maybe wasn't running as fast as I did in my mid to late 20s, but in my early 30s, I had a higher earning potential based on the name that I'd created, so I could command larger appearance fees and had a larger contract with better bonuses. So true to that, the year, and I'm not going through my tax returns, but in my mind I can remember it pretty clearly, the year I made the most amount of money was 2015. I was 31 years old, and I won the US title for the 6th time that summer. And you add up my base with my contract, you add up all the appearance fees I collected, the bonuses that I collected, and at the end of the year, I ended up grossing $350,000. Now pause, don't click off just yet. Gross. $350K. What do I mean when I say that? I mean that I brought in my company, Nick Symmonds LLC, which was managing my running career. Nick Symmonds LLC brought in $350,000 worth of revenue. But that's not the end of this story. Gross revenue does not equal net income. And let me explain by that what I mean. As a professional runner, you are operating a business. It takes a lot to make an Olympian. It takes a lot to make a pro runner. So that $350K that comes in, right off the top, you have an agent. And that agent takes 15% of everything that you make. So that $350K, that's more like $300K once you subtract that 15%. Then, of course, most athletes have coaches, and those coaches are going to want to cut. So that coach is going to want 10% not off the net less of what the agent took. They want 10% off the top, right? So $350K less 10%. Now when you take the agent and your coach into equation, you're left with less than, well, right around $265,000. We're not done. Again, I said it takes a ton of resources to make a pro runner. You've got to think about travel. You have to get to these races, get to your training camps. You have to think about medical. You're getting massages all the time. You're seeing doctors. You're trying to keep your body healthy. You're thinking about gear. Think about how much equipment it takes to create a pro runner. It all said and done, that might be another 5 to 10%. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Nick, equipment, what are you talking about? Don't you get free shoes? Yes. So I want to go back now that we've just talked about, taking your $350K gross income down to something well below $250. I want to pause and rewind and talk more about my own career. So during my own career, I was sponsored not just by Nike and Brooks, but I had also partnered with their professional teams, the Oregon Track Club Elite and the Brooks Beast Track Club. And what those clubs provided me was, aside from just an awesome community and a great place to continue to train with a team, it provided me free coaching, free medical, free gear, free travel. So, that 10, 15, 20% off the gross, I didn't have to pay that. I was able to save a ton of my income by not having those expenses. So truly, the only expense that I paid straight off the top of my gross revenue was my agent, and he took 15% of everything, but he was worth every single penny because he helped me negotiate my original contracts with the shoe sponsors, helped me negotiate the appearance fees with the meet directors. I've said this before, I'll say it again. It is almost impossible to be a professional runner without having an agent. So he was worth every penny. You take that $300K, you pay your agent fees, I'm left with just shy of $300,000. Now $300K sounds like a ton of money, and it is, but we're not done yet, because then Uncle Sam always takes his cut. So between, I can't remember, state and federal, you know, when you're in that kind of tax bracket, you're looking about paying somewhere between 40 and 50% of what you make in taxes. So on that $350K gross revenue, I always thought, if I can walk away with 50 cents on the dollar at the end of the year, that's a really, really good year for me. So on $350K, less agent fees, less taxes, you're left with, you know, somewhere between $150 and $175K in what's called net income. So you've got your gross revenue of $350 and you've got your net income of $150 to $175. It's a ton of money. I admit, I was very, very fortunate as a pro runner to have that kind of income and that kind of revenue at the end of my career. But I had been working at it, you know, at that point, 15 plus years, most of those unpaid and many of those underpaid. So I just want to leave you guys with this idea that there is money in track and field. It's just very hard to get to. And even though you may make a ton of money, bring a ton of money in, it doesn't necessarily mean you walk home with a lot of money. For all of you young entrepreneurs, this is a great lesson for you. You know, keep your operating costs as low as you can while still being successful, and that's how you're going to put as much money in your pocket at the end of the day as possible. All right, I hope that provided another look into the behind-the-scenes life of what it was like to be a professional runner. I did mention I was partnered with Nike for 8 years and Brooks for 4, and during that time, I got all the free shoes I could possibly run in, and I learned that getting a pair of free shoes is maybe the coolest feeling in the world. That's why I give away a pair of shoes every single week to one of my Instagram followers. And this week's winner is Doug Goat for real. I think her name is Kristen Hall. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you to everyone who follows me. Kristen, I'll reach out to you right now to get you your shoes. And we're doing this for another few weeks, guys. I appreciate you watching these videos. Appreciate those who have subscribed to this channel. I'll see you guys next week.